Du sagst, ich bin anders. Ich sag, du hast recht. Recht. Du sagst, dir geht's prächtig. Das heißt, dir geht's schlecht. Ich bin unersättlich, krieg niemals genug. Was in deiner Wunden und Schure die Glut. Es ist angerichtet, es ist mir ein Fest. Ich lick deine Lippen. Greetings, one and all, to the most cursed, most cringiest corner of the internet. A YouTube channel content creator actively alienating everyone in both the analog and digital world. Well, welcome and good evening, wonderful dice of all alignments. I am Lunar D8. Well, you see, it's something like a rule for teachers to follow during class. Maybe you weakling city folk need something like that, but do you really think us country-raised kids would lag behind in physical ability? We're better athletes than you would think, Keiichi. Come to think of it, they might be right. If we all lined up for a race, there was a good chance I'd finish dead last, if I didn't start off well. Let us pray that when a brutal penalty game is at stake, the 100-meter dash isn't a club activity. On that note, I watched too much television, so I'm fantastically tired. I'll be using this time to catch up on my sleep. It's fourth period and I'm completely starved. If I don't sleep now, when will I ever? As I began to sprawl out on top of a pipe, Mion grabbed me by the collar. Tisk, 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 do you really think I'd let you sleep in peace and quiet? With that look on your face, it'd require more courage to try and take a nap than not. Good grief, which means it's going to start again now. Just killing time by idle chit-chat until the bell rings is impossible for us hot-blooded youth, isn't it? Shall we start a club activity? Humph, just as I thought, it's come to this. What's today's game? Now that this is happening, taking a nap is impossible. Not just that, with the sleep-deprived head of mine, I'm as good as mincemeat. I have to get my brain into gear. Rena thinks that we should decide what today's penalty game is before we start. Rena knows what's up. I have prepared something super special today. She began to announce the cruel penalty game with a grand spinning flourish, but before she could do that... I'm sorry, I have something that I wanted to do. Of all people, it was Rika-chan announcing her non-participation. Even rare events do eventually occur. Losing her time, Mion spun like a top as she tumbled to the ground. What? Huh? What's the matter? Are you not feeling well? Oh, that's right. Mi-chan, she has practice for the Watanagashi. That's right. It's this Sunday. Everything goes perfectly fine after we ever have a Watanagashi. That's certainly not the catalyst for any sort of happy catharsis happening. Everyone's like, you're trying to make a lewd joke right now. Maybe. Rika's in the middle of her super serious training right now. I've been working too hard lately, so my arms hurt. I see. Well, there's nothing that can be done. There's no point doing it if we can't get everybody together. Today, let's just take it easy. I'm very sorry, but I'll try my best. Yeah, good luck. We'll be cheering you on. When Mion announced that today's club activity was cancelled, Rika-chan and Satoko headed off behind the school building. Only I was left alone, completely clueless as to what everyone else was talking about. What was that about? Is Rika-chan training for a competition or something? Rika-chan is a shrine maiden for the Tanagashi, so she has to perform a ritual dance. It's practice for that. Why don't you explain things in order? First off, what is this with Tanagashi? Next, what do you mean by shrine maiden? Last, what do you mean by ritual dance? Huh? Didn't you get the notice at your house, Kei-chan? Wasn't it written there? The Watanagashi festival is this Sunday. Huh? Come to think of it, I have a feeling Mom and Dad did say something about it during dinner the other day. Watanagashi is a festival that happens at the shrine on a Sunday every June. It's very lively. I see. But Watanagashi sounds like a pretty strange name for it. Is it something like the Lantern Festival, where they have a memorial for the dead by floating things downriver? Oh, I figured you might guess right, Kei-chan. The Watanagashi, or Cotton Drift, festival is, as the name implies, where we set cotton adrift down the river. The cotton you see is from futons, or jackets, so it'd be something like a futon memorial. They also pile futons up on the altar. I've heard of people leaving offerings of things like needles or kitchen knives to their ancestors or to casualties of war, but an offering of futons is a first for me. What's the history behind that? Mion tilted her head pensively. I don't think there's a complicated backstory to it. The winters around here are pretty harsh, so things like warm futons and coats to ward off the cold are fairly important, I guess. Ah, I see. In other words, it's something like giving thanks to the futons that took care of you during the winter. Then, the Shrine Maiden holds a memorial service for them and sets them adrift. I suppose this would be important of two things. One, if you're going to give a sacrifice to whatever deity, usually it would be considered something that you consider important. That was usually something that was seen very strongly in the past in many, like, especially in the Bible and in Greek myths. There are situations where people give offerings that they really didn't care about, and the gods are like, yeah, fuck you. It's like, you didn't even care about that shit yourself. So you're basically giving me your leftover garbage. You know? Basically, it's like, it'd be like inviting someone over to your house, and instead of like preparing them a meal and a proper food, you just gave them your leftover Doritos that you were planning to just throw in the trash anyway, because you didn't like them, because they tasted like a weird flavor that you thought, like, oh, I'll try this, and you think, oh, it's terrible, you put it in the fridge, maybe you'll get to it later. 2 weeks have gone by, it's probably, you're like, ah, it's like, yeah, I'll give it to them instead of throwing it away. You know, I remember at one point when I had less money, some people thought, hey, we'll gift you some bread. And I'm like, I didn't ask, but sure, thanks. And I get home, open the bag, and it's not just that the bread has a little bit of mold on it. It's that the entire loaf of bread is completely covered in mold, where you can't even see, like, there is less visible bread than there is mold. And I'm like, what you think? Oh, those people must be assholes. Yeah, they were also family members. So, yeah. That's a bit disrespectful. Aside from that, the other thing is this. The main reason why they probably would be tearing up futons in the past is, in the past, a lot of times bedding would get dirtier or messed up a little faster. So by having a regular tradition of destroying a futon, it would actually prevent people from holding on to a futon for too long and, you know, getting a super dirty futon that's... Because you're supposed to replace, and of course futons are not very... Like, I like my mattress. Now eventually the springs in it will completely wear down, but, you know, it's a... And of course, in the past, replacing your futon would have been more expensive. Heck, usually in olden times of, you know, medieval England and stuff, people a lot of times would sometimes have like beds of actual fucking hay, which would give a lot of cushioning, but, you know, a lot of times you'd have to clean it out every day in order to prevent, you know, bugs or mice living inside of it. And even then, no matter what, is, you know, it's a biodegradable material. Whether it be sweat from your body or just wet from the leaking... It's just, heck, there's things in the early part of the Bible to where there are actual things in Deuteronomy, the book of the Bible, like third book of the Bible, that talks about how to properly clean mold off of a fucking wall of a building. And that if the mold returns after you clean it a certain way, that you have to basically condemn the building, or the tent, or the cave, or whatever structure you're living in. I mean, it's odd that you'd have something like that in a religious book, but it was, you know, whatever book it is, and it doesn't matter if you're not religious. Whether it be when it comes to things about Christianity, Judaism, Hinduism, Islam, Buddhism, or even in sort of Shinto stuff like this, it's important to read the stuff about, heck, even the Egyptian. It gives... Now, the reason why I was hesitant about including Egyptian is because the Egyptian history spans a very long period of time. And we have less reliable information because a lot of that was very far back. What I'm trying to say is that by looking at a lot of stories, especially when it comes to religious context of the past, it can help you have a better understanding of what kind of people were like back then. You know, what the day-to-day life was like. Now, of course, a lot of information is left out, but it at least gives you a piece of the puzzle of trying to understand people from the past. So, granted, you're not going to fully understand the culture of a past, but, like, if you were to come across books on religion from ancient China, reading that stuff and understanding it, or at least trying your best to, and failing miserably, at least by doing that, you would have at least a better understanding of China and its history and what life was like for the people back then. So, yeah, there's perhaps no guarantee that you'll succeed at understanding it, or even a fraction of it, but it at least helps you to understand more than you did before. And heck, a lot of times, the best way to actually understand something is to understand how little you understand. Like, sometimes... Like, here's the thing. Some of the people that think they're the most knowledgeable about certain subjects are people that really don't know much all about it. Like, if you're somebody that starts to get into, like, a certain science or form of mathematics, you'll start to think, oh, I actually understand a lot of this. But as you understand more of it and see how it can be used in different situations, you understand how versatile it is and how expansive it is. Basically, that it can be used in many different situations and that there's a lot of more to it than you initially thought. So, it's a weird thing to say, but the more you learn about a subject, no matter how much you might be very enthusiastic about learning it, the more you learn about something, the more you realize that there's a lot you actually don't understand, and that you really don't know nearly as much as you thought you did when you first started learning about it. And on the one hand, some people could see that as being discouraging, but it also means that you have so much more that you can learn. There's more to do. It gives you new goals, it gives you new things to research, it gives you new things to read. It'd be like the idea of coming across an anime and thinking that there was only one anime genre, and then suddenly finding out that there's hundreds. You learn that you really don't know what the fuck... Like, you understand how ignorant you are on the subject, and that how much more there is. So, yeah, I guess that's the best way to put it, is that sometimes when you're learning about something, the more you learn about it, the more you understand that you really don't know anything. And that's fascinating, because it means that there's just so much more you can do with it. And it means that it'd be like playing a video game, and only like a fighting game, and thinking there was only one, background for your characters to be fighting in, and all of a sudden you find out there was like 500 other stages and 20 new characters that you didn't know about, and a whole new story mode. It's like, oh wow. So, I don't know if that makes any sense to anybody. Okay. I'm sorry I'm awkward. That's what the Watanagashi is. Mion and Rena indicated that I had the correct answer with a round of applause. And you see, that's the Shrine Maiden performing the memorial is Rika-chan. Oh, so Rika-chan is the Shrine Maiden. Now that you mention, Rika-chan does have a mystical air about her. Right. Rika-chan in a shrine maiden outfit. Aww. So cute. It certainly is. It does seem like it would suit her. Yeah, it might be cute. I finally get what you're saying. Rika-chan's training is for her performance as a shrine maiden, then that would be it. The shrine maiden has to purify a number of futons that is not part of a ceremony. It's practice for that. It's a lot of hard work. The shrine maiden has to carry a large ceremonial hoe as part of the rite, and it's really heavy for Rika-chan. Well, Rika-chan is pretty small. Exactly how heavy is that hoe? It's pretty heavy. Enough that Rika-chan has been practicing with a mochi mallet. Wait a minute. That's way too heavy. Forget about Rika-chan, that'd be rough even for me. It's a sacred ceremonial hoe. If she dropped it by accident, it'd be big trouble. Well, it's a once per year kind of deal. All we can do is cheer for her from the sidelines. I'll be okay. She pulled it off last year. Really? Then the least I can do is cheer her on. Even something like that with a little help, right? I was rather curious about how exactly she practiced. Mion laughed as she shook her head. Leave her alone. If you go, Rika-chan will get all cute and won't be able to practice. Okay? Huh? I didn't quite understand what Mion was saying. You see, Rika-chan doesn't like showing people how hard she works. Okay? So just leave her be. Basically, she'd feel embarrassed, like, okay, I'm seeing her breathing hard, and she'll be like, oh no, I'm... Though, it's just on the one hand, I understand her being self-conscious, but at the same time, it's... You're gonna be doing this in front of, like, the entire fucking town. I mean, wouldn't it help for me to be seeing you now? Rika-chan at times sweats when she gives it her all. Because she's always so well put together, she didn't want people to see an ungainly side of her. It's not like I would think less of her for it. I mean, I can see other parts of a person and still, you know, accept them and respect them as they are. It's not like I couldn't understand that feeling. All I can do is pray for her success, huh? Do your best, Rika Furude. I'm cheering for you. Well then, I climbed up on the pipe, plopped down on my side. Hooray, hooray, Rika-chan! In order to transmit more of my psychic waves of encouragement, I'll be entering a meditative state now. Z. So you're just gonna sleep after all? The lackadaisical noontime ended up giving way to mind-numbing afternoon classes. Rebounding from yesterday's hunger, I ate too much for lunch day, leaving me in a horrible condition. Ugh, I might have gorged myself a bit too much. I'll have to endure afternoon classes. Geichi, you had an amazing appetite today. Basically, you always eat like a pig. But today was on a whole different level. Yesterday I skipped lunch, right? That hunger just soaked right in. This time, no matter how much I ate, my hunger knew no bounds. I get you. But really, Kei-chan, you always finish your lunch down to the last bite. Heck, even down to the last grain of rice. With food, you show your appreciation for the person who made it by eating it, you know? Yeah, I mean, there's different cultures. Like, it's odd. There's a tradition where if you use a napkin or something while you're supposed to, after you eat, you know, to clean up your face and everything to be presentable, but you're supposed to fold your napkin up very neatly and then put it beside your plate to show that you are done and appreciation. As well as there's some cultures where it's seen as disrespectful to refuse anything offered you to eat or to leave anything on your plate. But there's other cultures where it's seen as rude to finish everything on your plate, where it's considered customary to leave some food behind uneaten. That it's rude to completely clean your plate. Because in that custom, it's seen as if you eat everything on your plate down to the last bite, or grain of rice or whatever, basically if you eat every bite off your plate and completely empty your plate, it is seen as to your host that they did not provide you enough food. That basically what you are in fact saying by finishing all... Because that's the thing. In some cultures, if you don't finish all the food eaten on your plate, it's seen as you didn't think the food was delicious and you didn't think it was good enough for you. And so you didn't eat enough of it. Whereas other cultures, it's seen as rude to finish everything off your plate. Because what it's seen as is that if you do finish everything off your plate, it means that you were not provided enough food to satisfy your appetite. At which point the host in that situation would feel obligated due to a sense of honor as your host to fill you up a second plate, where you should at least eat half of it. Or else, again, that's disrespectful. But again, if you finish the second plate all the way, well, they will feel required to give you a third plate. And if for whatever reason they're out of food, well, they'll have to give you something out of the fridge or make something new for you, or actually cook an entirely new meal just for that. Obviously, gauge your decision based on, one, what kind of culture you're eating. And of course, I'm talking like this given the fact that, well, I haven't exactly eaten in different cultures. I just really enjoyed watching the History Channel as a young child. So, whether it was stuff about different cultures, or ancient civilizations, or even World War I, World War II, or even stuff about dinosaurs. I really like the stuff about dinosaurs and different eras, back then, and periods, whatever. And of course, I enjoy video games and anime, but main point is I haven't exactly been to any of these cultures that eat like that. In general, I mean, myself as is, I tend to just eat some food while sitting on my bed. Like right now, I am recording this Let's Play. I am sitting on my bed, basically where I sleep, and I'm just sitting here Indian style, looking at my laptop that's also on my bed. And a lot of times if I want to eat, I'll cook something and then I'll bring it upstairs and just eat upstairs while, watching something on YouTube on my laptop while sitting on my bed. Heck, I haven't done it in a while, but for a long time what I was doing, and heck, I can see both the folding chairs over there. Technically, I have 3 metal folding chairs in my room. I have 1 metal folding chair over there to my right, where I keep my box fan on it, because I like to sleep with a box fan on and pointed toward me. It's not on, but I do have a little air filter over there, a little tiny air filter over there, basically straight ahead of me. But a lot of time when I'm asleep, I'll turn the box fan on, and like I said, it just sits there year round. And I'll have it anytime I go to bed or lay in bed sleeping, I'll have the fan on. It's very hard to sleep without it on. But I do have a chair there in front of my bed, angled basically toward my TV that's over here. Because like on my right side, I have my TV right next to me, where I'm literally tapping it with my finger right now from sitting on my bed. Like I'm sitting on my bed and I'm tapping my TV screen right now. So my TV's right over here, and I'm not even using a proper TV stand. It's just 2 green totes full of like stuff that I never really use, and the TV's just sitting on there. I don't even have a TV stand. And then of course that one chair over there I can turn a tiny bit. Anyway, but a lot of times in the past, sometimes I'd record my videos where I'd be sitting in that metal folding chair. Of course I'd put a pillow under my ass. And yes, I'm naked right now, okay? I took a shower earlier. I didn't feel like putting on clothes. I'm sitting here Indian style on my bed, completely naked, not even wearing boxers. But anyway, I got the 1 metal folding over there. It's forward and a little bit to my left. And what I would do is I would sit on the metal folding chair, put a pillow under my ass, and then I'd be looking toward my bed. And then on my bed, I would have the second metal folding chair, which is against my wall back there. I would have the other metal folding chair on top of my bed mattress, and I would have the laptop on top of that metal folding chair on the seat facing me. So it'd basically be at, relatively eye level. Everyone's like, that's the most ghetto ass fucking computer desk stand we've ever heard of. Yes, I sit in a metal folding chair while looking at a laptop on another metal folding chair on top of a mattress, while there's a box fan on a third metal folding chair And sometimes I'd have the TV on in the background next to my bed in this back corner to where, like, literally, if I were to lay my head down on my pillow, because I sleep on this side, I literally could be laying in my bed sleeping, and I could probably reach out and put my whole palm, just flat hand of my palm, fingertips and bottom palm, on my computer, on my TV screen while laying in bed. Does make it easier to play video games, though. Though I will say this, if I'm in bed, I'll have the TV screen completely facing this way, but same way, like, I'll turn the chair a tiny bit to the corner. If I'm watching TV from the chair, I'll also push this left side of the TV screen over a little bit. That way it's more angled that way. But most of the time I just have it flat this way because I usually just am sitting on my bed watching it. And everyone's like, do you own a couch? No. No. Whether it's in my bedroom or in the rest of my house, apartment, whatever, I do not own a couch. I did buy an inflatable mattress that's supposed to be really good quality, and it's actually very high up off the ground. Like, it was one of those mattresses that's like really high up and really tall vertically. Because like I said, about a year and a half ago I had a bladder surgery, and my mom spent 3 days and 3 nights over here, which I appreciated. I was in a lot of pain. And yeah. And even then I didn't know which bed I was going to be sleeping in when I went to the surgery, because I was like, I wasn't sure I was going to be able to get up the stairs. I talked about that experience in depth in other videos, but I'll not go into detail because I don't want to bother people with that. But I talked about the past because I was still really annoyed about, it was a very unpleasant experience. But again, I don't like the idea of annoying people. Then again, that's my whole channel, just annoying all of you by being... it's not like I even make any monetary anything from this channel. I never will. I'm not monetized. I'll never be monetized. I don't have super chats. I don't have merch. I literally just make these videos because I like just making these videos. I will never make a cent. In fact, I'm actively against making a cent. Even if I had 1 million subscribers and YouTube wanted to monetize me, I'm not going to do it. And it's not like I definitely couldn't use the money. Definitely hoping that they do some of those tax ideas they've been mentioning, whether it's sending people Doge dividend checks or... Then again, I guess I need to just stop spending money on Steam or fast food. But, it's kind of funny. Like, aside from paying, like, my monetary expenses are I pay for rent, my electricity bills, and other utilities, my car. At least I own my car, but it's like... Then again, my car is like a 2008 car that I've had since 2012 or something. So, it's got a few things wrong with it, but hey, it works. For now, I guess. And beyond that, I have some financial obligations, and, well... Yeah, most of my money's basically spent on rent and utilities. Aside from that, yes, I waste money on Steam games for Let's Plays, and occasionally a video game for my PS5, or some anime, or fast food, or, my food budget. Heck, it is what it is. I mean, I'm sure we all relate. I'm just saying, whether it be getting a Doge dividend check or not getting taxed on federal taxes, that'd be pretty helpful. Honestly, I can't say I really care about having any high-end setup. Granted, my laptop's been a little less performative when it comes to certain games anymore, but... I like this laptop. Then again, I do tend to be a bit sentimental, and I don't really like change too much, I guess. But I'm just saying, this video I'm making like this, or all the videos I make. It's kind of like me on the bike trail. I don't accomplish anything going to the bike trail. I don't make any money, and there's really nothing beneficial I do other than just something I enjoy. You know, same with this channel. I don't make any money. I don't benefit in any way, other than I just enjoy making these videos. It's just something I like to do. And the same with the bike trail. I don't make money going to the bike trail walking, but I just like going there and walking on the bike trail. I like it. And granted, I don't even listen to music on the bike trail. Either I'm walking in quiet silence or I talk to myself. Granted, I wouldn't be against having someone, whether it be someone platonic or romantic, walking with me on the bike trail. You know, someone who would enjoy, you know, the bike trail itself, as well as enjoy and value the time spending with me, and of course be someone I'd feel safe with, and someone who'd actually want me to be safe, and someone who'd want me to feel safe. Someone who would actually care about my thoughts and feelings, and heck, would never hurt me under any circumstance. But just generally someone that I would be safe with and feel safe with, whether it be someone that's platonic or romantic. Though even if it was someone romantic, I wouldn't want to be wanting to do something sexual on a bike trail. I feel like that'd be inappropriate. Don't get me wrong, I'm not against public displays of affection, like kissing and making out or smacking someone on the butt a little bit, but I'm not exactly a person that would want to do anything, you know, overly lewd in any sort of public situation. I don't know if that's just me or what, but yeah. Then again, I don't think I've really ever met anyone that even, whether it be platonic or romantic, that really liked the idea of going for a walk on a bike trail. Heck, I think every relationship I've ever had, or every date I've ever had, absolutely none of them ever were interested in the idea of ever going on a walk with me. They just really didn't like that. I mean, there were a couple girls that I walked with briefly when I first met them, and it was actually their idea, but it was more so in an area they felt comfortable with, and but at the same time, it wasn't really for the enjoyment of walking. It was more so just they had somewhere they wanted to go, and it was just on the way, and it was just convenient. So I guess that doesn't really count, especially since it was not a thing that was ever returned to. Whereas me, like the local bike trail that's close to me, I've gone to probably 1,000 times. And yeah, I'd say probably 99.99% of that time, just me by myself. I think there was a time back when I was like a teenager, and one of my best friends was also a teenager, and me, him, and I think his girlfriend went for a walk on the bike trail. So, and it wasn't really a long walk either. I guess most people really aren't. Granted, I'm not much of a jogger or runner myself. I never really was, and of course, both my cardio has gotten less, as well as knees and back, and well, also I've gotten fat. So I'm 5'11" and I am 204 pounds. So, yep, I have a big belly, as you guys can see in any of the live, streams I've done. But yeah, I don't make any money walking on my bike trails, but I just like it. It's just something I enjoy doing. It may seem stupid to everyone else. It may seem like there's no point at all, like it's completely pointless. But it's just something I really want to do. Same with this video. This may seem pointless to everyone else out there, but I like doing it. Even if it's me just talking about silly stuff like I am right now. It's just... it's kind of like anime and manga. I like it. I'm looking forward to Overlord new seasons. Heck, the Sacred Kingdom movie will come out in a week or two on DVD. I think later this summer, Volume 17 of Overlord will be coming out for light novel. And Volume 18 is supposed to be the ending of it. So that'll probably come out in like 2029, 2030. And if not, maybe a little sooner. And I think Season 5 of Overlord they announced that it'll be getting released in 2027. And they're starting to try to do a little bit of work on it now. But of course, Season 5 will be consistent of Volumes 15, 16, and 17. 15 and 16 are Ain's, Ulgon, Momonga, Satoru, Suzuki, going with Aura and Mare to the Elf Kingdom. And then Volume 17, which gets released this summer, will be part of that. But of course, it means and you're like, oh, how are they going to work on a season that's light novel's not even done yet? Simple. They're going to be working on the animations for the other 2 volumes for the first 7 or 8 episodes. But Volume 17 will probably be a bit of a war against the slain theocracy. Now, Volume 18, I don't know. But Season 5 should be, the Elf Kingdom and the slain theocracy war. Now, of course, the question is, are we ever going to get the question of, what's the secret behind this new world? What happened to the world Suzuki Satoru left? Are we ever going to see Rubedo, Albedo's older sister? Because we've seen Albedo and Nigredo, but we haven't seen Rubedo, because technically Albedo is one of 3 sisters. And we've only seen... Granted, Albedo has a lot of screen time, and Nigredo, not a lot. But Rubedo, who is supposed to be someone who has some very unique AI parameters in the old... Like, the way the NPCs were in the old game before they became sentient beings, she was supposed to have the most unique of the setting parameters that allowed her to break certain rules. So how that, translates into them becoming sentient with the others and be able to grow on their own, and just the fact that we haven't seen Rubedo. And I know it might sound odd, but I'm imagining her as very, very busty and probably futa. So just big tits, flowing red hair, very pretty face. Again, very big perky tits. Also a big dick and some fat nuts. But aside from that, I don't know. I'm just saying, I like the light novels. Heck, I'll even listen to audiobooks of people reading the light novel. So, heck, Reincarnated as a Slime. It's pretty good too. And of course, that's supposed to be getting close to its end too. So technically, Overlord and Reincarnated as a Slime should be both of their stories in terms of their light novels. Both the stories should be coming to an ending in 2029. At the latest, 2030. But both of those stories, Reincarnated as a Slime and Overlord, should be coming to an end in terms of light novel and be finished, where the stories are done, by 2029. Sorry, I keep going off tangents. I need to stop that. I'm trying to read a story and I'm like, being me. If you leave any behind, it's rude to the person who put in all the effort. Hearing that, Mion's eyes momentarily widen in surprise, followed by a cool laugh. Kei-chan, really? At first glance you seem unruly and irresponsible, but you're actually pretty conscientious. Well-disciplined, or something like that. Ah, yeah, Rena thinks so too. Mercenary fucking meatloaf! And everyone's like, what the fuck are you talking about? Rena. When Rena said, oh yeah, Rena thinks so too. And everyone's like, what are you talking about, Mercenary Meatloaf? The best game ever made for the original PlayStation. 1998. It came with a fucking demo disc. Or it came out in 1997 with a demo disc. But there was the main disc, and it came with a demo disc of Final Fantasy VIII. And of course, it had a little bit of the Dolek Kingdom invasion. But here's the thing, normally you'd have Sylphie with you in the party, but in this situation you have Rinoa with you, and a point where you were not supposed to have met Rinoa yet. And of course, there was different scenes, different dialogue, different animations, certain things. And I'll tell you this, I played that demo quite a bit before I bought the game of Final Fantasy VIII. I still think Final Fantasy VII, Final Fantasy VIII, Final Fantasy IX, and Final Fantasy V are really, really good. Maybe I should rank a lot of games. Like Assassin's Creeds. Out of the Assassin's Creed games, I would rank the 5 best ones being the first Assassin's Creed 2, Assassin's Creed Black Flag, Assassin's Creed Rogue, and Assassin's Creed Unity. Now, I would say the order in which you should play those games is the order in which I listed them. And that's also the order in which they were made. Did skip a couple, and omit a lot of later ones. But I would say the order that you should play those games is the order I mentioned. However, if I were to list them in terms of which ones I think are best, I would say the best out of all of them, if I had to rank them, like I said, out of anyone listening to this, even though I'm going to say Assassin's Creed Rogue was the best, you should not play that one first. You'll ruin the rest of the game for yourself. Because the end of the day is this. While I like Assassin's Creed 1 and 2, the parkour is a bit different and will feel clunky compared to 4 and 5. 4 being Black Flag and 5 being Rogue. And Unity has a bit of a different feeling too, but I still prefer the way it feels in 4 and 5. It's just they tried it a little bit different, but there wasn't a huge, massive change, but it definitely is a noticeable difference in feeling. Plus, the fact of the matter is this. There's a different type of architecture, buildings and environments for you to be on. And don't get me wrong, there are interesting parkour from the other games to a degree, and there are different elements, like, heck, 4 and 5 have the, pirate ship stuff, which was pretty cool. And a lot of open world exploration was really fun. But I would say I would recommend that you play them in the order of play the first Assassin's Creed with Altair, then you have the second one with Ezio, then you have Black Flag, then Rogue, then Unity. But if I had to rank them in terms of which one I think is the best, I would say Assassin's Creed Rogue is number 1. I would say Assassin's Creed Black Flag is number 2, but a very, very close contender for number 1. I would then say Assassin's Creed 2 is the 3rd place. I would then say Assassin's Creed 1 is 4th, and then I would say Unity is 5th. So out of the top 5, I would say Unity is the least best, but I would still say it's a good game. The other Assassin's Creed games I would not recommend. Now, Final Fantasy, there's a lot of really good Final Fantasy. Heck, there's tons of spin-offs, including Final Fantasy Tactics, which Final Fantasy Tactics is a good game. And technically you have the issue of Final Fantasies 2 and 3, being that the original versions of 2 and 3 that you got here in America were actually Final Fantasies 4 and 6. Because the initial real 2 and 3 were not released in America for a while. Which I can understand. 2 had a very controversial leveling system, even more so than 8. And the stories for each of them, honestly, I did not feel as engaged with. Honestly, if I had to rank them, and I won't even go through all the Final Fantasies here, I would say the absolute best Final Fantasy game is Final Fantasy IX. So, top place, getting the gold, Final Fantasy IX. Final Fantasy IX is probably the best of all the Final Fantasy games. Now, second best, Final Fantasy V. Third best, Final Fantasy VIII. Fourth best, Final Fantasy... Honestly, it's a tie between Final Fantasy VI and Final Fantasy IV. They're both very good, and it's a tie. I can't decide between the two of them. Then it's Final Fantasy VII. After that, I would say the last place in this contention would be, or this contest would be, between Final Fantasy I, Final Fantasy X, and Final Fantasy XII. I suppose I should list off games. On the original Nintendo, Mario 1, Mario 3, Castlevania 2 Simon's Quest, Swords and Serpents, Robo Warrior, Dragon Spirit the New Legend, Battle Kid 1, Fortress of Peril, Battle Kid 2, Mountain and Torment. And of course, I'm leaving out a lot of games, but trying to be concise. Super Mario World, I think the main thing worth considering is... Super Nintendo, I think the main thing worth considering is Super Mario World. Sega Genesis, Kid Chameleon, Vector Man 1, Vector Man 2, Zero the Kamikaze Squirrel, all the Sonic the Hedgehog games, 1, 2, 3, Sonic and Knuckles. Heck, I remember when I was like 8 years old, being at a store called Lazarus. It's kind of like Walmart before Walmart existed. And I remember seeing like a 3D Dino puzzle that was there. Didn't get that, but my mom and I got Sonic 3 and Knuckles for Sega Genesis. That was cool. I'd also recommend Sonic 3D Blast and Sonic Spinball. The original Shining Force for Sega Genesis. There's even a game called Powerball I thought was pretty cool. Columns, Space Harrier 2. On the PlayStation, there's, of course, the Final Fantasies, Jaquito, Blam Machine Head, Mega Man Legends, Brave Fensu Musashi. Right, that's why we got off on this tangent. Heck, I'd say on the PS2, you had Ratchet & Clank Going Commando, you had Dot Hack Infection, Dragon Quest VIII, Grandia 3, Star Ocean Till the End of Time, the original DBZ Budokai, Area 51, Shining Force EXA, heck, you even had the second Brave Fencer Musashi, but I didn't really care for it. Of course, Mega Man Legends 2 is on PS1, but I'm just saying, I still want a Brave Fencer Musashi 3 and a Mega Man Legends 3. Now, that being said, yeah, Rena thinks so too. There was a character called Mercenary Meatloaf who helped you in the fight in Chapter 2 against Scorpion, the Earth Crest Guardian, who spoke in that same manner. He also had a bit of a same personality as Rena too. Like the way I'd imagine like Rena jumping up and down, being enthusiastic about it. Granted, that's also the way she is in the anime, so I don't really have to imagine. I've seen animation of it. But I'm just saying that's the way he would behave in the game. Granted, a very minor character, but it just reminds me of it. I would again say this. Brave Fencer Musashi is, for the PS1, I would say it's the best game ever made. Heck, I'd say Shining Force EXA for the PS2 is the best game ever made for the PS2. But I would say out of the Shining Force series, I only like the first one that was for the Sega Genesis, and the fifth one, EXA. The others I don't like. The first one's kind of like Final Fantasy Tactics, and the fifth one's kind of an action RPG. So you're actually running around actually slashing things. Heck, some people could consider it like a Path of Exile or Diablo 4, except again, this is before the internet really existed, and there was no online. Also, it had better graphics, and was much more fun. It was also PS2. So it was like, came out like, I think, what, 2004? So over 20 years ago. And while I say Shining Force EXA, and of course, the original Shining Force is a really fun game. Granted, it's more like Super Nintendo type graphics, even if it's on Sega Genesis. I will say this. And of course, between different consoles, like especially back then, you had different sound fonts and color palettes that existed. Again, I liked it. I liked it a lot. It was a fun game. The story and the aesthetics were really, really good. I'd strongly recommend it. Beyond that, while I said Shining Force EXA is the best game for the PS2, the most immersive game for the PS2, heck, the most immersive game ever made, was Dot Hack Infection. It even came with an anime OVA. And really some good RPGs, again. You know, some really amazing JRPGs that were on the PS2 that I really can't recommend strongly enough would be games like Dragon Quest VIII. Though Jessica in that game, really hot. Granted, I would prefer Futa. So just imagine her, but in addition to her pretty face and big tits, cock and balls. But beyond that, Dragon Quest VIII, really good story, really good game. I think I probably spent a total of 300 hours total in that game. I think my first playthrough I did completely blind, and I think I spent 100 hours just about playing the game. Almost, like, I think it was like 90 some odd hours. And then on my second playthrough, I'd actually got an actual proper manual, like not manual, but game walkthrough. That was like a full-on book with colored pictures and guides for everything in the game. And then, of course, this was my second playthrough. I think I did everything I could to follow the guide as precisely as I could. And I think I spent well over 200 hours. I spent at least a solid 30 hours level grinding in the final areas for the Dragovian Trials. By the way, the samurai armor you got at the end of that by doing all that stuff was really cool. But also, I remember there being a somewhat of a secondary release of the game that eventually came out that included a couple extra bonus dungeons as well as the ability to get a third ending where you could actually just marry Jessica instead of the princess. Technically, there's two endings in the original game. There's one where you marry the princess, but it's more like you run away and elope with her. And the second one is where you complete all the Dragovian trials and, you know, you prove your royal worthiness and you're able to officially do it as, like, the fucking king. Third ending gets ended in a remaster sort of thing, which allowed you to say, I'll still save the princess, but I'm not going to marry her and I'm going to fuck this other girl. So, but I'm still going to be best buddies and friends with the princess. But more like a brother-sister sort of thing. And I'm going to marry this other chick. So. But all in all, Dragon Quest VIII, really great game. Like, and as with most JRPGs, honestly, there's a lot of level grinding, and even then, even with level grinding, you're going to spend more level grinding on your second playthrough. And I'd say most good JRPGs are games that you're going to want to do multiple playthroughs of. Even if it's not like a game that multiple endings. Some JRPGs you'll want to play again. Or you'll come back 2 years later. Nowadays, I can't really seem to stay focused on one game for very long anymore. But I used to be able to do it for a long time and be super focused on it. Like, I know I played Final Fantasy VII, 8, and 9 from beginning to ending, you know, completion. Like 100 hours each playthrough, pretty much. Like a dozen times on each game. Same way with most of these other JRPGs, and I can't seem to do it anymore. Chrono Trigger was good too. Had a lot of different endings though. But yeah, other JRPGs, Shining Force. I mean, Shining Force EXA, but there's also Star Ocean Till the End of Time. That's really good. Star Ocean Till... Like, there's multiple Star Ocean games, but honestly, Star Ocean Till the End of Time, very, very good game. Also, of course, I like the original Spyro the Dragon. And the old Crash Bandicoots 2 and 3. Of course, they did remasters of both those things. And granted, they look nice. The remasters look nice. And I do appreciate the remasters as they are. Like, honestly, like, I think the way they redid the original Spyro the Dragon looked very beautiful. But at the same time, I still have a nostalgic soft spot for the original graphics of Spyro the Dragon from like 1997. And even then, I can look back at those graphics and I still think they look good. Heck, I can look at stuff, some games from the NES, and I still like, you know, like even Mario 1, Mario 3, Robo Warrior, Dragon Spirit. I still like the graphics. Heck, the original, you know, Simon's Quest 2, you know, Castlevania 2, I still like the graphics. I like the music. You know? I still like the old games. Granted, I'm still looking forward to new games. Heck, I want a new FPS game I think is really good for the PS5. But, yeah, I still like the older games. Yes, I know they're like 20 plus, if even some of them are like 30 years old. I still really like them. Heck, part of the nostalgia is the fact that, granted, my mom played other things with me when I was a child, but I really enjoyed, sitting playing Mario 1, Mario 3 on the old NES with her, and I enjoyed playing Spyro the Dragon and Crash Bandicoot 2. Granted, we weren't very good at the games, but I just enjoyed spending time with her. Or like my mom would cook stuff, homemade back then, and I would sit in the kitchen while she was cooking or preparing food and just talk to her. And I just enjoyed spending time with my mom. Heck. Like I said, she's not perfect and she definitely has her flaws, but I accept her for all of it. And I wouldn't trade her for any other mom in the whole world. I love my mom very, very, very much. But I'm glad I live in an era of anime and air conditioning. I mean, think of all the amazing stories there are in anime and in different video games. Like, hey, there's video games that aren't necessarily the most action-packed, but they're really good stories, even if they aren't visual novels. And I've gotten quite a few visual novels I've played, and many, many I've started and not finished. But there's also been dozens of visual novels that had like 100 hours worth of reading, and I've read them to completion. And I've enjoyed it. But take Oliver, who I feel is me in a video game format, but Oliver from Siren's Call Escape Velocity. As you lose yourself in Siren's Call, I do feel like Oliver is my personality. He looks like I did when I was 18, and, well, he talks and acts like me too, and even thinks like me. And one thing he mentions is that you'll never outgrow video games or stories. It'd be like outgrowing reading or music. And he mentions the idea of, like, there's a game that he didn't really think was fun, but he really, really enjoyed it. And the game he talks about is Silent Hill 2. Like, it's a game where you're basically just walking around. And it's not overly in your face about stuff, and a lot of it's just a gradual set-in about stuff, but maybe a lot of the best stories are things that aren't, too in your face about everything. You don't need to spell out every little thing in the story. There should be things that the player should be able to figure out by actually thinking or the experience. But that's the thing. Silent Hill 2 is an enjoyable game, even if it's more of an experience than anything. And I agree with him on that, but then again, that's more like I'm agreeing with myself. Okay. Sorry about the I'm just saying. Heck, the creator of the original Crash Bandicoot mentioned in interviews saying how they had to bend a few rules in programming in order to be able to make the game. And even then they were worried the PlayStations were going to catch fucking fire. Same with Brave Fencer Musashi. It's a great game, and it really did push the boundaries of what the PS1 could do. But you can also tell from the way the game is that there were a lot of things that were just where there was stuff in there that they hinted at that wasn't in there. And I think it was just limitations of either development time or the limitations of what the PS1 could handle, or even the disc. Heck, most of the Final Fantasy games back then required multiple discs. Heck, there were even PS2 games that required multiple discs. So, there's limitations in terms of memory storage and performance. And even then, it's also partly the fact that I was like, I really enjoyed the game. And it's just, I wanted more. And don't get me wrong, Brave Fencer Musashi 2 on the PS2, it was an okay game in its own right, but it wasn't nearly as good as the PS1 one. Now, Mega Man Legends, both those games were on the PS1, but it's just they set it up for a third game at the end of the second game, but they just were never got around to actually be able to make it. I think they had issues with budgets in the studio. I'm just saying, after all this wait, if we ever do get a new Brave Fencer Musashi game, if we ever do get a new Mega Man Legends game, there's no reason it can't be like at least Elden Ring level graphics. Heck, if they keep putting off having it released, maybe we'll get it for the PS6. I'm still wondering what a PS6 would look like, what kind of actual specs it would have. Like, what kind of memory and processing would a PS6 have? It would have to be something vastly above what a PS5 Pro could do to even justify its existence. Heck, I wonder if like AI will be like built in every PS6. I imagine the PS6 will probably release. I think the PS6s will probably be released for public sale in October of 2028. So technically 3 years from now. So 3.5 years from now. So 3.5 years from now, we'll get PS6s. No, granted, I probably won't buy it for a couple years after that, but still. I think I wasn't able to get a PS5 until about 3 or 4 years after the PS5s were released. I don't remember. But, yeah, I would say, I think it would make sense for a PS6 would be made. But I would say the PlayStation 6 probably won't be out there and be sold and starting its console life until October, late October, mid or late October of 2028. Okay. I'm just saying, I strongly recommend, like, heck, I would say Mega Man Legends is the best Mega Man game ever made. And the second best one is Mega Man Legends 2. But I would strongly say, if you have not played the original Mega Man Legends, do not play Mega Man Legends 2. You play the original Mega Man Legends first. I'm just saying, Mega Man Legends, really good game. Keiichi-kun is a lot kinder than he looks. Both of them were probably trying to compliment me, but I had a strange feeling that I wasn't being complimented at all. That's not true. I just wanted to say there's a nice big gap between your appearance and your personality. That's... And I'm saying that's not a compliment. You're calling me ugly. Hey, I mean, that's technically true. I get it, but I've made the joke. I wouldn't have to worry about being poor if I got paid for my role in fucking Chrono Trigger. I'm fucking Lavos. I'm fat and I'm ugly. I get it. We're in the middle of class. How far did you get, Sonozaki-san? Bring your notes up here. Startled, Mion vocalized a rather easy-to-understand utterance. She was so enthralled with the conversation, she had stopped working completely. Doing all right. You haven't progressed at all. You're in the highest grade, so you have to shape up. That Mion, it looks like she's getting lectured. Poor bastard. Appearances can be deceiving, in other words. Actually, appearances might be the opposite of reality. You say some interesting things. Responding to Rena's seemingly profound statement, I turned my gaze to where Satoko was happily studying together with Rika-chan. Are you saying that brat Satoko is actually really meek? If I went by what Rena actually said, then that would be the case. I could hardly imagine Satoko being meek and gentle like a girl in some fairy tale. Satoko-chan's been rude lately, but just a while ago she was pretty different. She acted really spoiled and always, yep, keep this a secret from Satoko-chan, okay? That Satoko, acting so cute. For Satoko to play coy, I think that would have to be part of some calculated plot, or trauma. Even if she was to hide behind someone, I wouldn't think it was because she was attached to them. But since it came up, I tried to imagine a gentle and coquettish Satoko. Technically she was, but bad things occurred. She had an older brother. Had being the key word. Hey, Satoko? What is it, Oni-sama? Satoko smiled cutely and walked toward me.